Okay, so continuing the video on how to set up a character creator using UMA and Game Creator. So we wanted to look at some somewhat more complicated features, and the first one is that we're going to look at changing the skin tone. So if we go into Canvas again, here I want to create, go into Game Creator and go to UI, and we're going to create an image. We're going to go into UI, not Game Creator, and we're going to create an image. Okay, so there's our blank image. We can position that approximately where it should be. And then I'm going to go into my UMagick folder that I've provided for you at the Game Creator Hub website. And there's going to be two files in here, and these are adapted from Secret Anorak. So I'll credit to him for the files, the image color picker, and the skin tone 01. And we're going to take a look at these. The first thing we want to do is under skin tones, you want to change that to the texture type. We're going to change it from default to Sprite, 2D, and UI. And the other thing that we want to do is under advanced, we want to make sure that read-write is enabled. So here it is not. We want to click that on and click apply. Okay, so now our sprite is ready to go. We just need to drag that into our image. Okay, so that didn't work quite right, so we wanted to drag that into our source image slot. The other thing that we want to do under image is to click on the button that says set native size, and that'll just put it into the size that we originally had for this image, which we need for the image picker to correctly work. So now I'm going to drag the script image color picker and drop that onto our image. Right. So now what the image color picker will do is that when I pick a color, it's going to pick it and drop it into our global variable. So we need a global variable called skin tone. So that's we'll get to that in a moment. The other thing that we need to do is to set a trigger. So I'm going to add a component, and I'm going to go to Game Creator, Variables, trigger, and the trigger is going to be variables on variable change. And we're going to want the variable to be a global variable, and the global variable we don't have, so we'll set that. We just have head size and height, so we want to go to Manage Global Variables. We want to add a new global variable, call it Skin Tone, capital S-K-I-N, capital T-O-N-E, no space. And the type we want to set as color. And the tag is an UMA value. So that's all set up. Unfortunately, when I do that, it doesn't set it into my trigger, so I have to go back here and again choose skin tone as my trigger. So when that value changes, I'm going to want to do an action, so I click on action, go to actions, change the name of that to change skin. Okay, so and this action will be under add action. My action will be UMA skin, and again drag my new dynamic character avatar into my slot. Okay, so let's see what happens when I click on play. So I have my character, and when I click on the different colors, you can see that his skin color is indeed changing. So The only thing that we have left to do is to add a text. So I'm just going to grab a text because I'm too lazy to do a new one. So I'll just grab this text here, duplicate it, and grab that and ship that to my image. And then I'll move it down. And we'll change that so it doesn't say height, but we'll change it to say skin. Okay, so that's that's all you need to do to change the color of your skin. Okay, so for our final button, we want to create actually two buttons to cycle through the different hair models that we have with our default UMA character. So I'm just going to duplicate our done button and switch over to scene, and I'm going to rename the done button and call it hair next button. Right, so, and I'm going to change the text of the button to just be a plus. Okay, so then I'll move that up a bit. Yep, no, that's not what I wanted to do. Undo move, I was just moving the text. I want to move the entire button up. Okay, so then the other thing I want to do is delete all the actions from our done button because we don't want that. Okay, so what I do want to do is I want to create a global variable and call it hair, and then I want to be able to write to that global variable. And I want to write to that global variable from a list. So I'm going to create a list variable, and under game creator variables I'm going to create a list variable and just drop it somewhere in the scene. And our list variable is not a game object, it is a string. So I'll click that. And I'm going to click this little plus button here 4 times and add, the first hair will be none, so no hair. The second one, which I just happen to know, is male hair 1, the male and the hair capitalized. Male hair 2. And of course male hair 3, hair 3, and these are some of the default hair models that come with UMA, and all we need is the string for the script to work. So that's the first step. I'm going to rename this hair list. Okay, so then on the hair next button I'm going to add an action. And I'm going to say that I want to write to the global variable hair, which we don't have yet, but we will in a minute. So I'm going to go under variable string because that's what we need. And I'm going to say to write to a global variable, which is the default. We don't have the global variable that I need, so I'm going to click on that. Click on plus and create a new global variable, and I'll call it hair. The type is a string. And I'm just going to give it the UMA value tag that we've created in the other scenes. Okay, so now I need to go back and I need to choose this in our assign string. And I'm going to assign the string to hair. The next thing in assign string is value from, and it says value from constant. I want to change this value from list variable. It gives us the option list game object, and I'll drag our hair list into that. And then it says select first. We want to select next because this is our next button. Then finally we want to add the action which actually does a change, which is UMA and change hair. Don't forget, again, to drag your avatar into the dynamic character avatar slot so we know exactly who we're changing the hair for. Okay, so if I press on play, that should work. So just give it a minute. So we have our character, his default is none. And if we click, you can kind of see as a shadow buzz cut on his head. The next one is rather dramatic. And this one is actually, there's hair on the side, so he's got kind of a balding look, which you can't really see from this version, but it's actually there. So that does work. So that's step one. So now the problem with this is that if I go to change the gender, then obviously I'm trying to add male hair to a female character, and that's not going to work. So we want to go back and fix that. So if we go back into our scene, we need to create another list. First of all, we'll rename this one to male hair list, because that's what it is. And then we'll go and right click and create a new variable, list variable, and call this one female hair list. Okay, so then in this list, again, it's going to be a string. So we'll choose that, and then we'll click 4 times, 2, 3, 4. You could actually add more if you wanted to. There are more hair models available, but we'll stick with these at the moment. So the first one will be none for no hair. And this one is female hair 1, female and hair capitalized, no spaces. Female hair 2, and you guessed it, female hair 3. Hair 3. So now we have our female hair list, and we go back into our next button, hair next button, and instead of using the game object male hair list, we can drop the female hair list in there to make sure that this one is working. And if we click on play now, okay, so we have our male character. If we click on play now, it doesn't do anything because we're looking at the female hair. So if we click now, we can toggle through the female hair and make sure that that's working. But obviously we want to be able to change and say, you know, I don't care if I'm looking at a male or a female. I want to be able to change the hair models. So in that case, we need to have a condition. First thing I'm going to do is I'm going to take this action out of here. So basically I'm going to copy this twice and make separate actions. So if I do a right click on Game Creator Actions, and I'm going to rename this and call it Change Male Hair. And, oops, I should spell male correctly. So, now in the actions, we're going to add the actions as we did for the button. So we're going to want to go to variables, look for a variable string. We're going to add to the global variable hair, and that is from the list variable, and the list is the male hair list, which we'll drag into that slot, and we'll make that next. So then we add an action, UMA change hair, and drag our dynamic character avatar into that slot. Okay, so that's one action. We'll just duplicate that. We'll change this one to female hair. Okay, so we have the change female hair action, and we're just going to drag the female hair list into the slot for our game object, so that we have the female hair list that we're looking at. We don't need to change anything else. So now we've got the two actions. Now we just need to create the condition. And so I'm going to right click on hair next and go into Game Creator and create a condition. I'm going to rename this and call this gender condition. And I have a kind of a binary situation here where I have either a female or a male character. I haven't given any other options, so in this case I'm just going to be looking at, I'm just going to do a single if then else statement. You could do 2 if statements if you wanted to, but in this case I'm just going to go with the one. So I'm going to add a clause, and I'm going to call this just gender. And my if statement, I'll add a condition. And the if statement will be if condition UMA female DCS. And here I have is condition female DCS. I'll say yes. I'll click that button. Drag my new dynamic character avatar into the slot. And then say if this is true, then, and I already have my action here, change female hair. So I'll drop that in, and then under the else statement, I will change the male hair, just assuming that if it's not a female character, it's going to be a male character. So now, under the next button, I want to add an action, and the action is going to be called call condition. I'm not sure what this is, so I'm just going to do a search for condition and click on call condition. So, and it wants me to know which condition is the call condition. That is the gender condition, which I can just drag and drop into the condition folder there. So now that should work. So let's go and see if that's true. I'll click on play. Okay, so here we go. So now the male hair is working. If I switch to the female character, you can see that the female character is working. So our condition is now correct, and it is working. So we'll go back into the scene. I'm going to duplicate my hair next button. Move it over. Make sure I have it selected. Move it over, and this is going to be called the hair previous button. Okay, and I'm going to change the text on that. Instead of to be R+, just change it to a minus. Okay, and then you could get fancy and change the size of the button, add a title to it, and do whatever you want. But I'm not going to do that for this. Then if I click on our action, we can see that under assign string to hair, we have under our list variable, we have select next. And so we're just going to change that to previous for the previous button, and do the same for the female hair, next to previous, and then that should work. Again, we'll click on the play button and see what this will do. Okay, so now if I click on my plus, I'm going in one direction with the hair. I'll change it to the female character so we can see this a little bit better. And if I click on the minus, it goes in the other direction, so I can toggle between the two. So that's the final step in our character creator. Obviously you can do more with the sliders. There's a lot of different features that you can change there. You can add different clothing, or there's a number of different things that you could do there. I haven't created the actions or the conditions yet for that, but I will probably be doing that in the future. The next video that I'll be talking about will be about how to equip. So how to have a character add a hat or a backpack or clothing, shoes, whatever the UMA characters can equip. And that's actually a very powerful feature of UMA, so that's one thing that I'm excited about, using it in my game. And I think it'll be really useful. So hope to see you for that video as well. Okay, thank you.